How's it going, everyone? It's a lovely Sunday with my stomach hating me. But, we're going to do this anyway. Pounded some Pepto-Bismol before we started, and that's what I get for eating out of a gas station hot roller rack after Mass, because I went to the early Mass and needed some food. So, it is what it is. Hello, fellow actors of worship. Is that something from the news somewhere that I missed? Did some, politician who doesn't understand religion open their mouth to say something stupid again? Besides what the bartender said about, Saint Damien of Molokai, which was reprehensible. Thank you, Ginger. I do feel my voice went out for like a day and a half, and of course I chose the day my voice was out to record, like most of the weekend videos ahead of time, because I always do. Haven't seen Living Purgatory? I have not. Thanks, Aaron. The Vigano part will be relatively short because he has a letter that hasn't been translated yet. And I'm not even sure if I don't even know if I can record it for the channel because of what it's about, which we'll get into that. Gerald, yeah, my cold is better. Although at Mass I started coughing. I'm thankfully sitting in the back. No one gave me any weird looks though. That's because I think most people are not really being, fooled by things anymore. I am feeling much better all out of African polar bears, to the point where I actually went to the gym this morning for the first time in exactly a month. It was 1 month ago today that I sprained my knee in my carport during a rainstorm, and I went to the gym, and I only did 4 lifts because it's Sunday, and I normally wouldn't try to do work chest on a Sunday because it just takes too long. If I go to the gym on a Sunday, I want to get in and out under an hour, and before I go to Mass, and so I'll do an arm workout because I can usually superset that stuff and get it done really fast. But I went and worked chest today, and it was great. The knee, when I'm walking around the house barefoot, I don't limp, or it's barely noticeable. If I'm wearing shoes, especially I bought new shoes, and so now the limp is much more pronounced because I haven't broken those shoes in yet, and I just walk differently in shoes. Yeah, Graham, I saw that you're having in Ireland. They're definitely paving the way for the new Irish, and letting the powers that be, definitely letting the people there know that they do not care about the Catholic faith. Hello to everybody joining us. Let's see. And just so everybody knows, we have some really good news. Really good news. It's the kind of news that makes everyone happy. It just will fill your heart with joy to know this. That Pope Francis has granted Eugenio Scalfari another interview. I know what you're thinking. This is fantastic. This is the greatest thing ever, because that doesn't mean that we're not going to have to worry about answering weird questions from people. I can't wait. Teresa Baker Carl, my state doesn't have a mandatory face hugger thing, but in most of the cities, including mine, do. However, at least in my city, the face hugger rule doesn't involve wearing one of those if you're engaged in physical activity, meaning at a gym. So, I wasn't sure how it worked, and I sort of walked in this morning at 4 a.m., and there was one guy there who was a regular, and when I pulled my, parked my car in the parking lot, I saw his truck, and I was like, okay, this guy's not going to be one who's going to put one of those kind of things on, because I just... we talk gym stuff for 2 minutes at a time, a couple times a week when we're there together. But you get kind of that kind of vibe from people, and I managed to talk to him, and he was like, "Yeah, no." So it was good. Yeah, extra. He's Scalfari is everyone's favorite. Tea with honey and lemon, lime for all the cold stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Blue Skies. I've gotten emails from people saying that Archbishop Martin went to that new Irish ceremony in Dublin. We'll say, because I can't actually remotely criticize the religion you guys are referring to there, or reference directly its holidays. So, trust me on this one. I know for a fact that our totally fair and unbiased hosts don't permit that. Verum, I'm surprised no one has sold those yet. if someone wants to jump on, like, find out if anybody has, go for it. If no one has, please, like, take advantage. My favorite right now are the things that people are making for that just have insults about their politicians on them and pointing out how useless it is. So, just got back from Mass. We have to wear them, and Mask is shortened by half. Ooh. I don't know, like, when I went to Mass this morning with the fraternity, all they've been saying here are low Masses. And a low Mass takes 45 minutes-ish, give or take, just to do. And how many people are receiving communion. High Mass can take up to an hour and a half. So I guess ours are half the length. South Africa is Amish now. Wow. That's amazing. Now, do you mean like Amish as in like they make wonderful furniture, or Amish as in John Deere? Peter, Jerusalem, you guys over in the U.S. are about to have lunch or just came back from lunch. You're having dinner with your parents. All right, well, join us after you're done with your dinner. Yeah, my lunch was a very massive disappointment. Have I heard of Luciferase? Gerald, I did a video on that. A couple months ago, I did some of those content on that stuff. Zoomer Vince, you're correct. I personally cannot wait for Scalfire to say that Francis believes some obscure Gnostic heresy, only to have Francis say that he was misunderstood what he was saying, and then continues to go back to him for, I think this will be the 20th interview. How about a hot toddy for Mike Old? Yeah, that would require me going to the liquor store tomorrow and buying liquor, that's not something I'm necessarily against, but I'm on a ketogenic diet, and most alcohol shuts that whole process down instantly. And, getting the usual YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, buffering issues, warning. So just, there you go. Jose, another interview with Eugenio. I do feel that this means we need to keep our eyes open for other issues. Yeah, that's kind of my feeling. I mean, I might do a video on it, but here's the thing. I have a letter for you guys later in the week that a second part was just released, so it's going to be done in 2 parts, and the first part's already recorded, and I don't know if it's going to get much coverage outside of me. And I have a We Were Warned video, so I have already 3 of my videos for the coming week planned. 2 of them already recorded. So if it might be towards the end of the week, which might be when it goes public. Let's see. Do you need to get to higher ecclesial permission to follow the footsteps of Vigano? If you mean footsteps of Vigano, meaning you like get a really high-ranking Roman curial job and then find yourself on the outs and having to live in hiding, yeah, probably you would need to. It's not the only way you get the kind of audience he has. Let's see. Oh, Amish in the puritanical sense. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely aware of how it happens there. It seems to be a recurring pattern too in the country, in the countries in that part of the world they get their so-called independence. Is they go through that phase, and then a few years later they realize what a terrible mistake they've made, and then spend years begging for people to come back. People don't learn. Antiquus Ordinance, huh? I don't actually have a problem. I thought I had a problem with people not getting my streams recommended to them. So you need to. But when you look at my analytics, like half the people who watch me aren't subscribed, which is actually normal. So, I do know that your recommended viewing list is going to be dominated by the things you've been watching lately. So, like yesterday and the day before, I watched a lot of just silly reaction videos and things. I just wanted to unwind. But like this morning, to and from Mass, I caught up with Father Isaac Marie Aurelia. And so I expect my recommendation list is going to be his stuff and Sensus Fidelium probably for the next few days, which is fine. Byron James, you're now attending SSP Extraditional Mass, 2-hour drive, no SSP, FSS. My views, I'm fine with it. I drive 90 minutes to go to an FSSP parish, mostly because my wife and I are still connected to that community. There's an SSPX one not that far from us, about an hour. You're not going to get me telling you not to go to which organization to not go to Mass with. I generally advise against sedevacantism, but, ultimately, that's, I don't, pick fights with sedevacantists because I don't really see the point. Let's see. Well, Ginger, you'll probably, if you're not a patron of the channel, you'll probably like the one I have coming up. It's a little different, but it's good, and I got some good feedback from the patrons already. It was supposed to come out Friday, but then, we got Viganoed. So, and speaking of that, I think we got enough people here now that I can just give you 0 Day. Where's Father Rayleigh now? He has his own thing he started, and he's got a channel. If someone wants to put the name of the channel in the chat, I'll try to remember to put a link later to a video of his. But I'm gonna just give you like the Gloria TV summary of this letter. It's only in Italian so far, but their website says that they're gonna have the English up later. So, Father Rayleigh, he said he started a new channel on YouTube about 2 weeks ago, and he's been putting stuff up pretty consistently. Okay, Ginger, I'm glad to see it. I have a hard time sometimes remembering. I'm not as good about that as others. Like, you'll notice on Patreon and other content creators, usually secular political commentators, will put the names of their patrons at the end of a video in some sort of like little ending clip. I don't do that because I respect people's privacy. And that's like literally the only reason I don't do that. Because I do appreciate what everybody does. It's just, I think we're entering a period where it's like kind of, dicey to, be openly be telling people who is supporting people who express dissent. Undercover Froggy, yep, that's my term for it. We when we get Viganoed, we get a letter dropped, and that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. Like, I see a new letter from Vigano, I'm like, sweet, I know what I'm doing today. But still, Teresa Nilsson, is your phone buffering? I keep going from an excellent connection to not enough data, latency and lag. So that's what happens with me. I don't know why it happens, but Blue Sky says Father Rayleigh is at the Soldiers of the Immaculate. They have their own website, also their own YouTube channel with the same name. So what you're looking for is the Soldiers of the Immaculate. He has under 2,000 subscribers right now, which is astonishing. He has also, I'll read the face stocks for that interview because I think Father Rayleigh is awesome. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of buffering, and this is annoying. And it's all of a sudden it's dropping people are dropping off because of it. Let's see. Vigano sounds like the name of a high-quality Parmesan cheese. We shall rename one in his honor. That or develop a new, Italian style of cheese like that, dry cheese like that. No, Mr. Joy, I have not had a problem putting Vigano's name up on a video. It's the bishop he's having his discourses with from Kazakhstan that seems to cause problems. All right, let me see here. I can do the letter again. Now, if it buffers again, I'm not going to bother reading it again. But it's economic interests and social engineering prevail over health concerns. Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano supports the nonprofit organization VicitLeo.org, recently founded in Florence, Italy, to promote Catholicism and to fight anti-Catholicism. VicitLeo.org accuses the World Health Organization... there you go. I probably just killed my stream by forgetting to speak code, so I'm not going to read any more of it. Basically, he's basically writing he wrote a letter about the planetary wellness group, as I call them, basically saying that they're part of a social engineering organization or plan. There's a group resisting them, and he's endorsing them. You only get buffering on traditional Catholic channels. That's interesting. I expect my buffering is only because I'm on my internet service provider that there's only 2 real ones available in town, and the one I have is wires whole neighborhoods, several hundred, if not several hundred houses together, as if they were like a skyscraper instead of individual connections. They do it on the cheap, and it's annoying. I upgraded my internet recently, and it's not as bad. The buffering doesn't happen as much as it used to. Verum, I'm in reference to the face hugger thing I said. I'm assuming anything related to that is now a verboten word, because there is a if you watch Computing Forever, Dave Cullen, he let it be known that his sources tell him there's a major culling coming on this platform of anybody who essentially dissents about and promotes discussion about the safety of inoculations. They're planning. It's apparently going to be the biggest culling in the history. Got to get a T1 line. Yeah. You're watching from a distance, extraordinary right, but find Latin not very understandable. We focusing more on saying from the heart. Well, then, David, you know what you do? Go to the Latin Mass and don't try to follow along. Begin by just praying along, doing what everybody else is doing. You'll find if you do that, that's how I did it first. You will find that what you did initially is what you'll find you'll do is you'll do what other people do, and you're going to notice that there are some elements of that you're familiar with. You'll recognize, I'm hoping, the Kyrie and the Gloria and a few of the other elements. And after a while, you can check out the little red book that they always have and read, the Latin and the English before Mass or after Mass. And after a while, it becomes pretty second nature. And you don't actually have to understand everything going on because the Mass isn't directed to you. This is why, a lot of us, we're not. It's not that much of a sympathetic argument for us, saying I don't understand everything going on, because, our forebears did, but that's because they were educated in the basics of the faith better than almost any of us today, which is sad. The chair is against the door. Yes. Charlie Foxtrot, you've been shadow banned on every platform. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the fun thing about that. It's not only going to be this platform. They're going to do it they're coordinating with the other major social media companies. Yeah. Zero Day, I hope you are following Dave over on the his alternative platforms, because I expect he's at the top of the list they're going to get rid of. Do we really care about YouTube? Asked Mad Mechanic. I do, but that's because I make my livelihood here. Does it matter if we get the boot? This is where 99% of people are. You'll notice when people get the boot off of here and they find themselves on the alternative platforms, their audience size dropped by 95%. That's what happens, and a lot of the content creators just go on to do other things. They just go get normal day jobs, which is the whole point. Is an extraordinary Mass in normal language possible? No, it's not. That's the whole point of the extraordinary form is there's actual theological reasons, David, for the Mass being in Latin. It involves the three languages put on the cross at the crucifixion. Latin was one of them. The closest you're ever going to see to that is an Anglican ordinary at Mass, and good luck finding one of those unless you live like Texas or a couple other places. Let's see. True Speaker Carl, you're finished with protection from the thing. Last year the reaction was no. Okay. And I lost my spot. Pope Francis interviewing Scalfari. That'd be funny, but no extra. It's definitely the other way around. Scalfari asking him questions and all of us cringing at the responses. There is a website that I heard about from Father Isaac, and I'm going to see if I can find it. The website is Denzinger Bergoglio, and it has just his latest statements next to what the church actually teaches, which is awful that they have to do that. But it's, let's see, thematic index. Oh, that's so sad that they have that. Let's go take a look at Mariology here, because it's statement number 62. Mary, surely she wanted to say to this angel, liar, I was deceived. Oh, praying before the cross, Christians are simply comforted under the patronage of our Lady of Sorrows, and we contemplate the one who has Scripture. That's all they have on this. But here's a cool website. It has everything. It has statements he says next to statements, basically with what the church says from the various catechisms, the church fathers, everything. So have fun with that website. Jess Romero says, wearing a thing is an age-old occult ritual for initiate people. And yeah, probably. It's probably not wrong. I'd suggest David for attending the Latin Mass. Go find a good video of the Latin Mass that's narrated. That'll tell you what's happening step by step by step. It doesn't help that right now if you're attending one, you're probably attending a low Mass where oftentimes you'll barely be able to hear the priest, which is normally fine, but if you're trying to learn it, I can understand why there'd be trouble. So find a video of a Latin Mass that is being narrated, and there's several of them out there. On my Facebook page for Return to Tradition, I have the pinned post is Fulton Sheen narrating. I think it's a Christmas High Mass. It's kind of helpful. So yeah, because most of the Mass is the same. I mean, there's some elements that are different, but go check it out, and you'll get to it's step by step of what you're seeing. Let's see. Sorry for the sniffling. Do you post everything on... I am not on Parler because their terms of service are evil, and I will not go into a very clear... Plus, I'm going to be honest with you. If establishment conservatives are out there, like, touting something, be worried. These are the people who can barely tie their own shoes without the help of the left, and they were like, yay, Parler. And it came out that the head of Parler had a meeting with the head of Twitter, and he got him to adopt a lot of their terms of service type stuff, or a lot of their censorship stuff. So, Parler, I'm in a hard pass. Like, I started a Gab for my channel, but I haven't actually done anything with it yet. My videos allegedly auto-update onto the video platform you mentioned, and I don't know what Slug is. But no, I'm not going to Parler. This is not going to happen. I don't think it's a good website. Blue Skies, the reason the president hasn't done anything on that issue probably is because of legal reasons. It's probably a very heavy lift to do. I would expect if he's going to do anything, it'll be after the election, but we'll see. Teresa Nelson, I'm not surprised that you have that there's a bishop getting censored on YouTube or on Facebook for saying what for what you say he's saying. Aaron G, that alternative platform has lots of sewage, so be careful when making a foray. Yeah, I noticed that about most of them. Like, seriously, I've seen some of the alternative video platforms that believe in no censorship to the point where you can't even filter out, like, so-called adult content, which is annoying. Let's see. Am I a sedevacantist, asks Lucas. You must be new. No, I am not a sedevacantist. I fundamentally disagree with sedevacantists. I don't really have anything against sedevacantists per se, but I'm not going to sit there and argue with them, but I am not a sedevacantist. What is the guy with the shades and how come you use it every video? Joshua says, that's Hilaire Belloc with sunglasses, because he never wore sunglasses. Why do I use it? Because I don't go on camera. I'm not vain enough to go on camera, and I think the people who, sit there and say to be taken seriously, you must be on camera, I don't think they understand the dangers to your soul of doing this kind of work. Let's see. Check out St. John Canty's YouTube channel on Sunday. They stream a high English Mass, which is like halfway between a NO and a TLM. Huh. Forever Young found a good Latin Mass from 1943 narrated by Fulton Sheen. That might be the same one I'm talking about, Forever Young. I think that's the same one that I have pinned to the Facebook page for my channel. Oops, sorry. Again, for the sniffling. Where did I find the Sheen narration? Found it on YouTube. I don't remember where. It's been pinned for like at least a year on my Facebook page. Aaron G, I haven't seen a new Truth Stream Media video. Is that over on that other video platform, or is that here on YouTube? Because I really like their content. They haven't posted anything in like a month, which is annoying. Verum, I think you're right about he's referencing something I can't say. I don't think on my here out loud, but the video, my end times video for yesterday, involving the dam, it's if when that thing breaks, it's going to be catastrophic and possibly a chastisement. I mean, potentially a third of their population at risk. Think about that for a second. And yeah, they're responsible for much of the misery right now, at least sort of in an immediate proximate sense. Teresa Baker, Carl didn't know Parler is bad news. Yeah, the terms of service are terrible. Absolutely terrible. And really, I have, I rag on, the agents of chaos, as it were, a lot, but the establishment political conservatives are complicit. They do nothing to stop them and often actually help them. They trip over themselves to show how good people they are. And so when these guys endorse a social media platform, I immediately get extremely concerned. And I've seen some screen caps of people getting almost banned for saying things that should be allowable on a platform that professes to be free speech. I'll add African polar bears if America has an election. I'm pretty sure we're going to. Whether or not it'll go well, who knows. Healing says this doesn't seem like Joe Burgo. Is even a basic comprehension of Catholicism. Say cutesy thinks he's trying to pass off his theology. I don't know. I have no idea. Anything I say would be more than I feel like is within what I do here to say, but it's concerning. And the Scalfari interview, I suspect it'll be up just in time for me to record it for Friday. Let's see. Don't take the thing that contains... Yeah. Sure, that's... what's sad, Charlie, about what you said there is the Vatican has said it's okay, but it's maddening on a moral level that they would do that. No problem, Lucas. I think anybody who asks that, I feel like I don't mean to give a snarky answer to that, but it's a question I get a lot. Is that, and then a question a lot about the Belloc image I use. Mad Mechanic, what's a set of a contest? Someone who thinks the See of Peter has been vacant, generally from 1958 or in some cases 1962 to today. That all the bishops there the popes have been pretenders. And one of my problems with it is you don't have apostolic succession anymore. Now I know that there's a counter argument that says that canon law can be at that point in a crisis situation can be overruled in or it gets suspended essentially, and the laity of the bishop's diocese, in this case the Bishop of Rome, meaning the Archdiocese of Rome, we get to vote for a new pope. But why would you want that? I mean, that would be terrible. Like the state of things right now, that would be terrible. But in general, you don't have apostolic succession anymore because if you don't have a pope for that long, you don't have any. You have almost no bishops validly ordained. You have none with jurisdiction. The only ones you have left are the ones done by Archbishop Lefebvre and Bishop Thuk and a couple others. Do I get tired of answering the same questions every week? No, not really. As the only ones that I ever get really tired about are, what do you think of Catholic news outlet X? What do you think of other hosts? Those are the two questions I get tired of because I have a very well-known standing rule that I don't comment on other Catholics unless they're like personal friends of mine. And then because if they're personal friends of mine, then I'm not going to risk saying anything bad. John Horton. I've never been to Lawton. I'm in Shawnee though. Someday I'm going to drive down to Dallas and I'll have to drive through Lawton to get there. But howdy, neighbor. Healing Belloc and Ray-Bans. Yeah, there's a mutual of mine on Twitter made this for me. Back when, early my content, I was using, various different really bad images. Not bad, morally bad, but just really low-quality images. And so that became sort of my brand. What do you mean by danger to your soul on camera? It's vanity. Vanity and pride. There are a number of Catholic commentators who had in their Twitter bios, insert blue check mark here. Why do you need to be verified? Plus, when you're on camera, it just changes how people act. Now, I'm willing to go on camera for a couple things. For the right interviews, I would do it. And I plan more to do it after I lose more weight, which reminds me I need to enter my weight loss because I got on the scale this morning and got good news that way. It's always nice when you can, lose some weight and even when you're not feeling well, you can still lose almost 5 pounds in a 2-week period. So there you go. Let's see what it said. Let's see what MyFitnessPal has to say. MyFitnessPal, for those who don't know, is a social media website that is all about, logging meals and exercise and things. It says I've lost 28 pounds exactly. All right. Are they not evacuating the area of the dam? From what I understand, they are, but we're talking. This thing is so big that it's putting like almost half the population, or like a third of the population of the country in danger. That's how big it is. Aaron, the truth stream might be on the other platform. Okay. And I may have seen the one you're referring to. Then it's just I noticed. I looked on that other platform like a week ago or so, and they hadn't had anything. Teresa Baker, yeah, I saw, I watched this morning, Census Fidelium they actually had Father Wolf on camera. That was weird. I've never seen him before, but as soon as I heard the voice, wow, you're on camera. Like, okay. But he was talking about something that the church people never not get in trouble for. But he had a couple guests on, and they were counter-arguing Sedevacantism. But I do watch occasionally some Sedevacantist content. I'm against the idea, but I'm not against the people. And that's a big problem we have, by the way. This is why anybody who follows me on Twitter will know that I have said before that I think Unite the Clans is dead. Dead as a doornail. And it was dead, actually, I think, from the start, because it started out as a very exclusive thing. Your range of people permitted were SSPX to FSSP and diocesan traditional mass and traditionally minded people at the so-called ordinary form. And that's it. And no SSPX resistance, which if you want some of the really hard-hitting content about what's going on in the church, the hardest-hitting content is coming from the people who self-describe themselves as SSPX resistance through Sedevacantists. They're going to challenge you, though, because they tend to have a different understanding on what the problem is. So, Emma says Middle Kingdom plus Bilderberg plus the Cabal plus them. Well, Yeah, David, I saw that story too. That government of the Middle Kingdom is paying people to denounce underground churches and taking off crosses from temples. 7,000 won as a reward for temple information, 2,500 per Christian. Oh, that's fun. And I think they're also using welfare to try to get people to apostatize. Charlie Foxtrot, you're starting a website and you're thinking about doing a podcast, you're thinking about doing it on camera, but worry about the pride, vanity, repercussions to your family if you show your face. Any advice? Discern it. I don't need the pride boost, so that's why I don't do it. And it's just my brand has sort of become such as the Belloc thing. I eventually want to update the channel artwork, but it would still be similar to what it is. But, if I do I really like how Computing Forever does things. I really do. And he goes on camera for interviews, and eventually we'll do that. Part of what I need to do is lose a bunch of weight. I still need to lose a lot of weight, and I think optics do matter. So again, sorry for that sniffling. I'm starting to sound like Trad Patrick. Aaron G. God is on here on their channel from 3 months ago. The characteristics of an initiation ritual. Aaron, since you found me on Facebook, if you want to just send that to me in a Facebook message, a link to it, that'd be great. Verum, I think I saw that email. I've got 170 emails in my inbox, and some of them, I got an angry email from somebody asking if I thought shouldn't I think it's dangerous to read people the documents from the First Vatican Council about how no one can judge the Pope individually or even as a body. So, I have a hard time catering to all my emails. People will literally send me take pictures of pages from books and send them to me without any context. Or they'll send me they'll put me on their family and friends email list. And so I get a lot of emails, and it's hard for me to keep up sometimes. And I don't know, Verum, if I can actually ever do a video on that person's ideologies, because I know that person's name is a flag word on the platform. So I just don't know if I can. However, again, I'm planning on starting a long form podcast on audio on the audio only side, and my hope is to have it up on Fridays. I'm gathering the topics now. Now, the problem is I want to get it done relatively quickly because I know this coming week my dissertation will be back to me for the final round of revisions. So, well, let's see, extra. Well, due to changes in bishop ordination, some Orthodox churches do not recognize our bishops anymore as having apostolic line. This is true. The Second Vatican Council and the changes spawned from it are actually considered one of the biggest barriers to reunification with the East, including the new Mass. Like, that's frequently cited by the bishops of the Eastern Orthodox churches as being a massive barrier, is because they look at that liturgy and just sort of laugh. Lucas, should faithful for $2 super chat? Should faithful Roman Catholics go to the SSPX parishes? Yeah, why not? There's no problem with them. The Vatican says it's fine as long as you don't have a schismatic mindset, whatever that means. They even say you can give to them. The bishop from Kazakhstan, got to be careful. He said he spent like 2 years observing them and came out saying there's nothing wrong with them. That the nature of the argument is an eternal family argument. Do you want me to make you another Belloc image with different glasses? I still have the AI files for the current one. If you want to like play with this one, the thing I want to do with it is have like, I need to figure out how to make my editing like visual editing stuff work so that I could like have him on the side while I have like text on the screen next to him or other pictures. You know, things that are movable, or because it's, and also like things with clear backgrounds and things. I need to figure out like ways to jazz it up a little bit because, you know, my channel's growing, much to my amazement. So I need to figure out how to do that. If you want to, email me about it. Feel free. Let's see. Thank you, Blue Skies. I think, 28 pounds and since June 7th, I think. So, not bad. Joshua Cueva, not only to return to tradition, but also to fitness. Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I am now under, by like a pound, my pre-everything shut down weight. I was trying to lose weight back in March, and then everything shut down, and I was like, okay, I'm doing pizza deliveries, which means I'm encountering a lot of people. And the company I worked for had a no face hugger policy. So what do I do? And I kept reading inconsistent things online about like your immune system when you're dieting. And so I basically put the thing on hold and I gained a lot of weight in an 8-week period. And now it's all gone. And it took me almost as long to lose it as it did to gain it because I'm getting older and my metabolism is slowing down. Let's see. Rebecca Phillips thinks Japan is a key linchpin to the coming chastisement. Since Akita, in light of Japan's history of keeping the faith without the sacraments, it appears like a foreshadow of the world's future. It could be, but it also... I was just watching the Tip of the Spear video that I recommend sometimes. Like, I've watched parts of it over the course of the week. And I literally finished it just before going on. And he points out at the end that the island nations a lot of them will be destroyed. And I kept thinking about Japan. 140 million people live there. And it's right in the area of the country that I think is going to be at the heart of the problem. What would happen if Japan is converted? It'd be a miracle. It'd be a wonderful miracle. I mean, that country has got a rampant impurity problem. And a rampant, sterility problem, rampant. Their people they're not having children there. Anthony, who would you suggest from that group? Do you mean the Sedevacantists? I don't recommend people going to Mass with the Sedevacantists, but I don't have a problem with, personally, with most of the Sedevacantists content you'll find on YouTube. The ones I have problems with are, I have a rule about not saying negative things about other Catholic groups, but I do have one group that I will ignore that rule for, and that's the Diamond Brothers, the most holy family monastery. It's give me a break. I do not recommend their content, even if they do make even if some of their videos come across as being pretty good in terms of really talking about the crisis. But, I like Father Jenkins, and I like Novus Ordo Watch and a few others, so. Oh, excuse me, sorry for that. I really should just mute my microphone when that happens. And buffering again. We've been seeing a high level of demonic activity that most seem oblivious to. Your channel will focus on that and your personal experience with demons. I'm very candid and don't want to put anyone at risk. Then Charlie, what I would suggest, well, let me wait till I'm let me see after I'm buffering. Bad buffering. All right, so I would suggest, Charlie, not using your real name then. Maybe even not being on camera. If you're gonna be talking about some pretty like borderline content with that stuff, just be careful and don't like dox yourself when you do it. People put too high a premium on, dox yourself. I tell you to dox yourself while I have my own website that I could just go to if I got in trouble, with my huge income. The people who do that really annoy me. Patch says, let me see. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's see if it's better now. Wow, I'm really losing connection. What's going on? I hope you all can hear me now. I can't see anything on my screen here. But let's see. Slowly coming back. I'm wondering if there's a weather issue outside right now. All right, so we're back. Hopefully we're back. I saw a comment from someone offering me how to diet. I know what I'm doing. I'm on a ketogenic diet. I keep my carbs in check. I do a moderately high protein and high fat diet. I do a weightlifting version of keto. Abby, that's who said it. Patch says he spent 4 weeks looking for a church close to the normal mass service in your part of Dublin. Got one Dominican street communion on the tongue. Interesting. I wish I lived in a place where, I might run into a random Dominican brother who was a priest who could give me communion on the street. Man, that'd be great. Dave Cullen is somebody I'd like to get onto at some point, Blue Skies, and Mrs. Maiden Name. I do genuinely like him, and of the two sort of, content, there's only two content creators from, I would call it, their era of YouTube when that kind of commentary dominated everything that I still watch, and he's one of them. Joe, thank you for the super chat, and thank you for the compliment. It is appreciated. And Abby, I'm not worried about cholesterol because ketogenic diets are wonderful for controlling cholesterol. I had a big old ribeye steak yesterday. It was amazing. And I live in a part of the country where the red meat isn't as expensive as it is elsewhere. Let's see, people talking about carbs. Yeah, part of my dinner tonight's going to be a cauliflower rice thing that I have. I bought a big bag of it at Costco. And AMDG is right. We do need some cholesterol. All those things in food you need some of. Other than, what is that? Other than high fructose corn syrup, because that doesn't exist in nature. And you don't need, what is the other one you don't need? I don't know. Some of the refined carbs you don't need because those are, the more refined they are, the more natural they get. You've been eating more fisheries like salmon, sardines, tuna. God, nice. I kind of want to know, Joshua, if I can throw whitefish in my smoker and if it'll come out good. On Friday I got some marked down fresh tuna at Walmart, and I pan-seared it and had it with my cauliflower rice. It was one of the most amazing things I'd had in a while. I felt bad eating that on a Friday. It was that good. Abby Kinnan, I am not cutting down on meat. I'm not taking any... my diet works really well for me. The idea of cutting down on meat's a terrible idea. And I don't follow Leviticus's dietary rules. Our Lord abolished that. Why would any Christian follow the dietary restrictions in the Bible? Our Lord abolished that stuff. That was, who are you to, how did he put it? He says, everything for, he gave us permission to eat pretty much anything. So... Joe Palla, I like Trad Cat Knight. He's, I like his work. He's got his own way, and his presentation isn't for everybody, but I don't think mine is either. So, Cheris, it's funny that you mentioned the CMRI. They're the one group of sedevacantists that I've been warned against harder than anything else, honestly. Apparently they're very weird about outsiders. I've heard of practical oaths you have to swear and things when you go in there. Let's see. Another super chat, which is great. Plank the fish before you smoke it. Yeah, I need to find I can't find planks around me. I may actually just have to go to eBay or something and buy some. You have heard of the theory of a pope that was put under arrest after the election by the modernists. Saw this on the Trad website. Yes, I have, and I think it's bunk. I don't think Cardinal Siri was under arrest. Lomi says lard is actually good for weight loss. It is good for weight loss. It's the high fat, moderate to high protein, and ultra low carb is a wonderful way to lose weight if you could stick to it. The problem is living that lifestyle forever. I love cinnamon rolls. Not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to the day where I can have one once a month or something after Mass and not feel bad about it. Jeff Finkmacher, the Bishop of Kazakhstan, that's what I have to call him. Solution to V2 is the technical answer. Archbishop Vigano solution is the practical answer. Right. Super chat from Pascal Leclerc. Thank you for the super chat, sir. If one can't receive the Eucharist on the tongue because local bishop says so, is it better to forego in general and do a spiritual act of communion? Try to appeal to the priest, but got nowhere. I would, if that's the case, I would honestly, if that's the case, I would look for an SSPX chapel or an FSSP one. Honestly, if you have the FSSP in your diocese or within an hour and a half of you, guess what? They're not giving communion in the hand. It's not in the 1962 rubrics. They will not give communion in the hand, and that's why. So that's where I go, and I've never had that problem. But otherwise, I am vehemently against, like Cardinal Sarah and others, vehemently against communion in the hand. It's demonic. Do I eat organ meats? No, I cannot stand kidney and liver. Ugh. Rebecca Phillips, that's the quote. Thank you. That's the quote. Do not call unclean what God has made clean. Yes, thank you. That is the quote from our Lord. The most quotable person in all of human history is, of course, our blessed Lord Jesus Christ. Do not call unclean what God has made clean. Right, so, I stay away from carbs for the diet, but I don't think it's a long-term answer. It's just to get me where I need to go. And I don't eat organ meat. That's not me. Most all Christians are in disobedience to Gen. Are you Catholic, Abby? I'm very curious here. Yes, Rabbi once what he would do when the third temple was built. He said, eat bacon. That's funny. Thoughts on crossing arms, receiving blessing for non-cats or cats that haven't gone to I'm fine with them getting a blessing. Mike Rogan says he didn't receive today because he may have committed a serious sin related to gluttony, eating too voraciously in the evening. I'm not sure how gluttony is handled. I've confessed it before, but it wasn't one thing. It wasn't, I shouldn't have eaten that candy bar, or I had fourths, I didn't, that wasn't it. It was usually a protracted period for me that made me realize I'd fallen into it. Teresa Baker Carl. So Tricat Night is strange. What is this about some kind of outer space rock hitting the Earth? I don't think he says a rock is going to hit the Earth, but the theory is the Planet X Nibiru thing, and I've seen some of the. Excuse me, I'm going to cough again, or am I not? But I've seen some of the evidence they have for it in their favor is that Popular Science and other magazines and even like newspapers were reporting on this thing from like the 1880s to the 1980s, and then they stopped and they were basically all saying that some large object was going to come through the solar system, and that it periodically does every several millennia, and that it was on its way, and then they stopped. Beyond that, I don't know, but it's supposed to have like catastrophic consequences for the Earth, and I think Eric's idea on that is that that's going to be the material source of the chastisements. That's going to be the material aspect of it. I disagree, but this isn't a disrespectful disagree. This is just I have a different theory than he does, and mine is it's going to be a conflict. Will be at least part of it. Pascal, 40 minutes. I'm jealous. my wife and I drive 90 minutes. I drove 90 minutes alone this morning to go to Mass. It was the weirdest thing. Let's see. Sound of Chris. The governor here puts you in. Yeah, for if you travel. Yep. What do you advise? They visit houses sometimes to check on you. Do you not have Mass available in your country, Sound of Chris? I'm not understanding. Everything not vegetarian you consider a treat? Well, okay. What, no ox tongue? Yeah, I'm not an organ meat guy. Oh, I've had tongue. I think I've had lingua by going to Mexican places, but not in a long time. And man, some of the best food you'll ever eat is at a family-run Mexican restaurant. Like seriously. What about the changes to the bishop ordination and the apostolic succession? That one really affects me, not you or anyone. It depends what the nature of the changes are. Like there's one papal encyclical I have been hesitant to record because I don't want people to get the wrong idea from it, and that's Leo XIII's encyclical on the Anglican orders, because it's not just changing the ordination rite that's the problem. It's changing the nature of the ordination rite and the general relationship with the God and the Church that it has, and that's at the core of why Anglican orders are invalid. Cam, if you wish you could do a keto diet, but you can't because of high-fat GI problems. Oh, yeah, don't do it if you got that problems. Abby Kenyon, yes, and Jewish. Well, you can't be Catholic and religiously of that. You can't be two religions at once. That's a non-starter. All right. Laura Monterey, thank you for the super chat. It's appreciated. Chat as informative as anything. Thanks. I appreciate it. And that's that thank you also goes out to the people in the audience asking interesting questions, because this is why I think I'm one of the few content creators who just does these chats with people, because sometimes you frequently have great questions to ask people that get asked. The Diocese Cardinals coming to your FSSP parish for 2 early masses. Nice. And confirmation later this week. I'm split between excitement and apprehension. Don't be worried too much about it, Aaron, unless your cardinal is one of the famous bad ones. Because the cardinal needs to be the one. The cardinal is a bishop, and the bishop is the one who does the confirmations. I've seen this firsthand with the Bishop of Tulsa, who doesn't say the traditional mass. I think he just said one for the first time, though. I might be wrong about that, but he came in and he was there at the mass, sitting in one of the chairs at the side at the sides where typically the altar servers sit, and I think he was there I think he came up during the consecration to help in a quasi-con celebration thing, although I might be wrong about that. And then he just did he read from the book in Latin, the confirmation rite. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. If your cardinal knows how to say the Latin Mass, he might actually say the traditional Latin Mass, which is objectively a good thing. I would love it. I would posit a video about Cardinal Supich, friend of this channel, if he would do, say a traditional Mass. I would also have to do a video about pigs flying, though, because that's not going to happen. Player Paul, I think I don't think the SSPX tell people to stay home. You get a lot of SSPX priests who say that, And a lot of it is because of like some of the changes to the mass that were done. Um, Graham Doyle, a Pentecostal church, the Church of God is setting up in town. These types of Christians really creep me out. I live in like evangelical Protestant Central, so like I have tons of Church of God around me. I got used to it. Like I don't have a lot of conversations with people around here though. Xenia says, I thought we could consider ourselves gluttonous if we have serious favorites, such as we will only eat the finest butter or certain almond milk, turning up our noses at common food. I mean, I spend a little bit extra to buy butter as opposed to margarine, but that's because margarine is fake and gross. Like, but my refrigerator has both like nicer butter for certain things and then like more common butter for like, if I want butter on my broccoli, I just put the common junk on it. I think that would be an interesting video to see to say. Hey, this is what the church teaches on gluttony. You'll get 1,200 views, maybe. No one will watch it, basically, but
Did that help? Testing. I didn't even realize that my mic had dropped off. Francesca Gilbert says, beware of Novus Ordo in Latin. Previously at an NO church, you asked the priest for Latin Mass and he agreed. You realized you meant the Tridentine Mass. You was told your bishop disallowed it. You changed to the SSPX. Probably a good choice because your bishop is in material violation of the law of the church, which says that you can have the traditional Latin Mass if you and enough people at your parish want it. And your bishop disallowing it is in violation of that, which is part of the error of conciliarism, which says that the bishops are, on equal footing with the Pope. It's a dumb thing that came out of the council. Let's see. Scrolling down because I fixed my sound. I don't know what's going on with that, but, let's see what's going on here. I'm going to go check on everyone's favorite modernist news website. I wonder if they're ever going to pick up on the fact that I call them that. German theologian, picture of a female theologian, church needs radical change to exit dead end on vital reforms. Oh, this is going to be a good story. A German theologian has warned that the church needs radical change to exit the dead end it is currently stuck in regarding vital reforms. Church needs to face systemic problems with change of mentality that could take a whole generation to instill. The church has to face the systemic problems undermining it and undertake a thoroughgoing change of mentality, even if that reorientation could last a whole generation. University of Erfurt professor of dogmatic theology Julia Knopp urged in a weekend interview with Salzburger Nachrichten newspaper. Knopp, who is currently participating in the Salzburg University Week's Summer Holiday Festival, insisted that taboos and quote-unquote perennial issues in the church, such as gender justice, women's ordination, and compulsory priestly celibacy, must be openly discussed and serious responses sought. Serious responses sought means changed, by the way. That's because, in the theologian's opinion, the old answers, quote-unquote, to these and other questions have only proven to be exacerbating factors in redacted and abuses of power and conscience committed by clergy members. That's utter cancer. Sorry. All out of African polar bears. Why is it always from the Germans? Well, you see, there was this big conflict that happened that they were kind of at the middle of back about 70 years ago, and I think they have a collective cultural guilt. And some of the cardinals and bishops at that time were on the side of the guy with the funny-looking mustache. And so they feel like they now need to, embrace radical change and impose on everybody else. Just talked to your bishop today, informed him about the use of things I can't say on my channel. Does the church need radical refreshment? Should we consider No. Dread Albert Pike and the planned attack on the priesthood. Now I am careful to check ordinations. The SSPX have been letting in Novus Ordo priests and not reordaining them in the old rite. I thought that their official policy is to give them a conditional reordination. I've seen SSPX priests say that in their Q&A videos before. If you want to send me anybody want to email me information on Albert Pike and the priesthood, let me know. I would love to read that. I might actually do that as a sort of inverted We Were Warned video. Luther was German. It goes further back than Mr. Mustache. Right, but these things picked up, radically. Radically after the council. Or at the council. When the Germans were at the center of all the silly things going on at the council. What do I think about CM? I don't comment on the... well, I'll put it this way. I do not think the reporting on that was legit. I'll put it that way. That's it, though. That's all I'm going to say on that issue. And I get really tired of people asking me about church militants. Every single week, it's someone asking me about church militant, and I'm not answering any more questions about them. But no, I completely doubt their reporting. I have a lot of reasons for not believing their reporting. But I stopped watching them a long time ago before that. Let's see. We have people asking about Albert Pike and the priest. I could probably just find it myself. Let's see. Albert Pike Catholic priesthood. So I'll just do a search for that and look it up later. Patch says, thanks for the chat. Catch up with you during the week. Oh, no, yeah, I try to do them during, like, twice. Like, I need to remember to try to do a stream in the evening, but I'm really worried that if I do one at, like, 5 or 6 o'clock my time, the lag is going to be atrocious. Wasn't there We Were Warned where the Lord said that the Rhinelanders were just bad? I don't think so. The guilt trip from the sons of Shem. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's... the stuff that, they're the stuff that all the things that they did in that war, they got a collective guilt in it. They still hold it to this day. It's why remember, their current leader of their country is considered a conservative. I can't say that without laughing. Let's see. Abbey Kin Church Militant is the living church. Yes, but he's referring, people ask me about it, is referring to the media outlet by the same name. Rebecca Phillips. I had to approve that comment, but you want to shove some eucalyptus twigs up my nose. I don't know why I'm suddenly all sniffly. I wasn't this bad today. My office is probably needing to be vacuumed. That's probably what it is. That's probably the problem I'm experiencing. Well, let's go back to Novena News and see what else is there, because that's just the newest story. Angelus. Pope calls for solidarity and creativity to solve the post-affliction poverty and unemployment. That's actually not bad if that's all he says. Be part of the future of independent Catholic media. Take our Novena Satisfaction Survey. I cannot believe they put that up on their website. Like, that's just so silly. Pope's right-hand man on the environmental problems urges world to realize post-affliction that we cannot continue with our frenetic consumerism. Well, I don't actually have much issue with these guys coming out against consumerism. I mean, consumerism is just a form of materialism, but it's just objectively not good. But still, like, they always frame it in just gross ways. Why did I just go there when I'm trying to go to Canon 212? Because Canon 212 has some of the most funny headlines. Let's see, I can't say the top one. CNA imagines that Catholic Relief Services is trying to stop the spread of family planning in West Africa. Cathedral priests reject for confession anyone not registered, verified by the document given in the last year. Oh yeah, this is from Father Z's blog. I don't think if you haven't seen this, I'm going to read this to you. I saw this on Twitter earlier. It was posted originally by Father A. Karakastanis Shrenk. I don't know who he is, but here we go. This is about confession. He says, do you think you've seen it all in the confession availability discourse? Well, then you haven't seen the email my friend's sister received, essentially telling her that she hasn't donated enough money to, quote-unquote, register for confession at her parish. And here is the text of the letter. My friends in Christ, I'm sorry to report we could not meet your request to attend the Sacrament of Reconciliation this weekend. Our capacity is limited, so our priority is to serve the active, registered parishioners of the cathedral who have not recently received absolution. Active parishioners are registered parishioners who have a documented occurrence of volunteering and or giving in the last year. If this pertains to you, you will be contacted by a staff member regarding your registration status. If you've been to confession recently, I ask for your patience and that you please schedule your next confession next month. This will allow all those seeking absolution access to the sacrament in a way that keeps you and your clergy as safe as possible. Yours in Christ, and then it's cut off, so we don't know who sent that. But my one response isn't excuse the crudity, but F the poor. That's my response, because that's what that is. I cannot. These people make me mad. These people make me so mad. That, yes, Captain Birdside, it is wicked. That's why I phrased it that way. Like, that was me being edgier verbally than I ever am, and I cannot stand when people do this. How is that not simony? How is it not simony? St. Monica taught St. Augustine how to love God. Yes, that was her job as mom, but like... Okay. I'm seeing heresy from Abby, which is not that surprising. So, bye, Abby. Hide you. What about the old great nuns? They were great teachers and homeschooling mothers, too. Kudos to them. Right, but I think Tom is talking about complex theology. But there's Saint one of the Saint Theresa's is a doctor of the church, so the church says that I guess extraordinary women can be teachers at least. But at the same time, the St. Paul also warns about women teaching in churches. Take that to me what you will. All out of African polar bears pay for confession, heresy, burn it with cleansing fire. Right, and there's also that problem of registering for a confession because it sort of eliminates, at least in spirit, the anonymity of the confession if they can figure out who was there. Moms are supposed to be teaching children healing. But I've got problems with that letter that I just read to you guys. It's one of those things that will make me madder than anything is when these people start like restricting things and then demanding essentially money. I mean, it's always money. South African clown Cardinal Napier continues his struggle against EWTN. Accuses Edward Penton, remnants Montana, of ganging up secretly against the leaders of the church. By the way, Bishop Barron had a good take, if you're not aware. Because the bartender, as my friend calls her, said St. Damien and Molokai, said some ugly things about St. Damien and Molokai, so I would never normally share this outlet in the chat, but here you go. He actually had a good take, credit where it's due. Excuse me again. Yeah, confession is supposed to be private. Like, registering for confession is wicked. Fun fact, in the Archdiocese of Oklahoma City, the FSSP parish is named after St. Damien of Molokai. I would love to have been able to go to Mass with that priest this weekend and heard his homily. Or at least hung around and gotten to hear what he had to say about that, because, man, I would be so mad at what the feeling of the people on the ground is. Simony is not only is simony a grave sin healing, it is like one of the gravest of grave sins. Like, you're literally trying to sell the gifts of the Holy Ghost. So you travel to a foreign country that comes home, you get I would not go. I would just stick to the places in your. I would avoid traveling. I mean, I'm a weird person to ask because I'm an American. I can literally only travel to 4 countries right now. But I wouldn't be traveling at this point. Let's see. Ironically, Francis was named after St. Francis of Assisi. Well, HB, go find on my We Were Warned videos the prophecy of St. Francis. Excuse me. Why are bishops mandating face huggers but not modest dress? That is a good question. Are sins cheaper by the dozen? Once you commit one sin, it's easier to start committing others. Blue Days, what's simony? Simony is essentially the selling of the sacraments, selling of blessed items. I need to spit that stuff out. Yeah, my body is in the cleaning it out post-cold phase, and this phase lasts weeks. It's annoying. Which is why once I was so mad when I got a cold, got over it, and then got a cold again. Have I heard that the cathedral in Nicaragua was attacked? No, I have not heard that. You have to go to travel for medical treatment. Ugh. What did Bishop Barron say? He called out the bartender who's in Congress for what she said, for her calumny against St. Damien and Molokai. He said, I put it in the chat. It's pretty good. I'll put it in the chat again since I'm near the bottom of the chat now. There, have a look. They set a crucifix on fire. Lovely people. Time to detox. I don't know what you mean by detox, but where you're at in Maine, you don't have a choice when it comes to confession. You miss Wichita, Kansas, your hometown. Yeah, it's a problem when you're like if there's a winter storm here, it'd be like, well, I was a Latin Mass person, but I can't go. Of course, if I can't travel, like I would be afraid to in inclement weather here. I would be afraid to travel even the 2 minutes to get to Mass, let alone to the Novus Ordo, let alone to the traditional Mass where I go. Native Hawaiian lepers, if that is, yeah. She called that. I mean, she used all the stuff of the secular religion. It's so great, so crazy. Paul's Wrath, wasn't it St. Molokai that would recommend the only say missionary? I don't know. I wasn't aware. Detoxify my body. Yeah, I just don't know what people even mean by detoxify your body, because most of that is junk science. Someone said the burning of Bibles is happening. Yeah, they did that in Portland. A church in New Kiev, Canada was burned. It's a growing problem in the West. It was fortunate that your mother was well catechized. We were still told to be careful and watch the city and make sure this parallel church was the harlot. Turned out, yes. It's a cherish. Well, I call it the ape of the church, and it's not so cut and dry. Like I will tell you, cherish. I came into the church in the Novus Ordo. I received communion for like several years only in the Novus Ordo, and I've had religious experiences the first few times that I received Holy Communion. So I know the Eucharist is there, and I know confession is valid there. I know the baptism is valid, so this is why I don't tell people what mass to go to. That's way above my pay grade. We're talking like future councils of the church will fix this problem pay grade. You know. Eat some fresh garlic cloves in your meals or just by itself. That's what I hear. I don't know if that'll take care of it, but Blue Days Portland desperately needs an exorcism. Well, if Archbishop Sample is watching, which I doubt, get on that. If anybody watching has the ear of Archbishop Sample, maybe suggest that he do an exorcism of the city. I'm sure he has the resources to get a helicopter to flight over the city to do the exorcism. Other priests have done it in other places. Did you miss anything special? Asked Paul's Wrath. No, I briefly talked about a letter Vigano released that hasn't been translated by anybody yet, and I'm not sure I will be able to record it because of what it's about, but it's about the Planetary Wellness Group and their role and everything. Non-educated, but she was a liberal and led by her priest. She just read Liberalism is a Sin. Excellent. Yes, that is an excellent book, Mrs. Maiden. I also recommend the papal encyclical that you can listen to on my channel called Libertas, which is also like those two go hand in hand. Those two items do. But when they say, now you got to remember, when they're talking about liberalism, they're not talking about, how Americans use the term. They're talking about virtually every type of political position that is mainstream in the United States. Every one of them, including ones that a lot of you all probably have. It's just, that's what they say. That's because they're talking about classical liberalism, which is a broad family of ideas, which is a hard pill for a lot of Americans to swallow, but, there is no St. Molokai. Molokai is an island. Yes, he's talking about St. Damien of Molokai. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate the prayers. Even most NO Catholics love the NIV. Ew. I don't know. I have never met the Catholic who attends the Novus Ordo who likes the NIV. Ew. Like, I know Protestants who, roll their eyes at that Bible because that Bible has been, called out by the Protestants for being political in its translation. This is maiden name. Well, I appreciate you. I'm glad that you're one of the ones who does listen to those encyclicals. I will probably have an anti-socialism one next weekend because I found another one. So, beets are the most effective vegetable for removing bile acid. Maybe a good thing to remove. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I can do those on my diet, though. Do I have any questions for you guys? Meh. Anybody have a cheesy, brain-dead movie recommendation? Healing, I was there when Archbishop Sample consecrated the Archdiocese to Our Lady of Fatima. I was actually at that cathedral when he wasn't there. Frustrating to hear the bishop's responses, though. It's never how they said. Let's see. Captain Birdseye. People don't like it when you point out libertarianism is just a harlot daughter of liberalism. That's because people believe that essentially have bought into Americanism in some degree or another. They don't understand how a lot of people haven't accepted that the mainline conservatism really is just hand in hand with progressivism. I got convinced of that when I was reading Chesterton, and Chesterton pointed it out, and then I really thought about what he was saying, and I was like, yeah, he's not wrong. I mean, go look at how the excesses of the left are being responded to by conservatives politicians right now. They're not being responded to by them, or if they are, they're adopting the language of them, which is really just terrifying. Anything from MST3K. Yeah, I have Amazon Prime. I can watch that, or I could do the same troop of guys. They applied their stuff to other things later. Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception housed a 382-year-old image of the blood of Christ, or detection of Christ crucified. Do I fast 3 days a month? No, I try to intermittent fast, though. I abstain. I'm not the best about fasting. Part of the reason I'm not the best about fasting is that as soon as I start doing it, I start thinking about the weight loss benefits, which sort of corrupts the fasting. It's a personal flaw of mine, and I need to get better about it. Let's see. Movie Wind, one slightly steamy kissing scene. Well, I don't know. What is Wind about? I've never heard of it. Do I know who that group is, Go Blue? I'm not going to say their name on YouTube. Yes, I know who they are. Going to be, let's see. NIV likes to condense info. Ugh. Have I watched Chosen? No, Sue. You know why I didn't watch Chosen? Because it shows Our Lady having birth pains. And that's heresy. So no, I'm not watching Chosen. Where do we go from here? I can't even go to Mass without... This is where people need to start challenging their preconceptions about who it's okay to go to Mass with or not to go to Mass with. That's what people need to, really start challenging their set conceptions of, of things. Because I go to an FSS parish priest said that they were outside of the city of Tulsa's, the city limits of Tulsa, so technically not subject to certain ordinances that are now mandatory almost everywhere. So they're not required in our parish. It's great. But then I get out of the parish, drive 3 minutes to the gas station, and I have to comply just to go buy a soda to drink on the way home. Let's see. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Seen it, James. One of the worst movies ever made, but it's so bad it's almost good. I watched Schwarzenegger's Commando the other night again, and it was such a bad movie. It's amazing. If you can handle action movies, not everybody can. Go Blue, I had to approve your comment, and it's obvious why. You are apparently not familiar with how, for our own good, our lovely hosts control what is permitted to be said on the platform. Is it okay to hold an open door mass outside in your states? There are open door masses, outdoor masses being permitted by the bishop because of the situation right now in my diocese, although I don't know if they're still going on, because I think mass attendance has mostly returned to whatever normal is now. Let's see. Read Judith and then read the whole book about 3 Days of Darkness. He refers to 3 Days of Darkness as the Book of Esther and the Rosary. Yeah. Tom K. Lowell, great bad movie. Yes. Commando is a wonderful bad movie. It's such a wonderful movie, man. Movie Magnificent Seven, lots of 18 violence, and leading lady shows more cleavage. You've probably seen the 19th Century West, but it was probably much fun. Which Magnificent Seven, Healing? Is it the new one? Is it the remake, or is it the original one that was based off of the Seven Samurai back from the 60s and 70s? Because one thing I want to do when my wife gets back from visiting family is I think I want to have us sit down and watch Clint Eastwood's Fistful of Dollars, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and for a few dollars more. I've only seen The Good, the Bad, the Ugly out of the three, and I'm not wild about westerns, but I love that movie. The movie is so good. It's really dark as a western goes, but Danny said some good bad movies for sure. Yes, they did. About a month ago, my wife and I watched Stallone's Cobra, and we were laughing the whole time. He's sitting there, driving a pickup truck and firing a submachine gun one-handed from a moving vehicle or something and not missing at all. He hit with every shot fired. It was the most ridiculous action movie I've ever seen. Have I heard about how evangelical Protestants are growing in numbers in Catholic majority Latin countries? Yes, I have. South America is falling towards to them. Have I read Which Bible Should You Read by Thomas A. Nelson? It was published by TAN. No. Speaking of TAN, they're going to start supporting the channel, by the way. So you're probably going to see a little 2-3 second video clip as part of my intros, just as a heads up. I read the Knox and the Dewey Rames. Those are my translation, the Bibles I prefer. Have I read St. Faustina's Diary? No, I've got a copy of it. I'd rather not. I almost at this point would rather not read her diary. I've heard that there's enough wacky stuff in there that I don't want to find myself involved in that debate. Let's see. Huling. It was the remake? Okay. That people are recommending? Okay. I've heard that was a good one. Like, I kind of want to watch the remake of 3:10 to Yuma, but I don't know. Cobra is a great movie, says Pascal. It is. It's a wonderful movie. Yeah, I wish that, like, if we're going to have violent movies, that we could go back to them the way they were done in the 80s. Like, they were just so over the top. They were ridiculous. Like, no thinking person would think that was real. You would be, like, you should be, if you're in a theater watching it, the theater should be filled with laughter as people are watching this utter nonsense. But, you know. About my miraculous experience in the Novus Ordo. Remember what John of the Cross said. When those happened, we do not give credit to anything but God, not what was around you. Yes, and I give credit to God, but he was truly present in the Eucharist there. It is the Eucharist there. Until the church rules otherwise. This is my problem with, like, a lot of the sedevacantists, honestly, is the taking authority onto themselves to judge in these matters that truly only belong to the hierarchy. Diary of a Country Priest is a great movie if you can find it. Not exactly a mindless film, however. Yeah, on Sundays I tend to like to watch, like, low-key things and just relax. I'm getting on an hour and a half. I'll probably cut it soon simply because I'm going to go check in with that friend of mine, and as long as the weather permits. My home office, one of the reasons I don't go on camera is the light is not on in my home office. My windows are blocked off with studio foam, and I have a curtain up that covers most of it for sound dampening, and so it's very gloomy in here. And if I have a light on, it's still not much better. Like, if I ever go on camera, you're going to be like, ugh. Do I think that some ex-Warsaw Pact countries will be less affected by the coming chastisements because of their martyrdom in the 20th century? I don't know. This is why I suggest you go watch my videos on Alois Erlmeyer. He doesn't make it sound like it's going to be very nice for a lot of those places. About Johnny Dangerously? I haven't seen that. I don't know it. Sounds like I'm drilling lines. I don't know what you mean by drilling lines. Handbooks, Dewey Rims is best. Divine Mercy in your soul, so holy it will transform your soul. Yeah, the Dewey Rims is a great translation, especially if you can find like a newer one, because they don't change it. It's really, but it's the language is good. John MacArthur claims the gospel. Is he right? Or bringing a false gospel? Is this Antichrist? I don't know who John MacArthur is, but he's not the Antichrist. What a Saint of Mount Carmel does to criticize Saint Faustina, you can do to many other saints' writings. Let him know that, and see. You might get a dialogue with him. Unforgiven 1992 is a good Western. It's on my to-watch list, but I think my wife would want to watch that with me. Is the synodal church deliberately ambiguous? Is there a firm definition? It's, as far as I can tell, it's purposely ambiguous, just like everything else that's born from the council. The Escape Plan with Stallone and Schwarzenegger is a recommended one. That's a newer one too, isn't it? Sound of Crit says that he also had experiences in the Novus Ordo. Right, but I also took my family out of the Novus Ordo. I want my parents, meaning took them out like we go to a Latin Mass and receive, try to receive the sacraments as much as possible in the traditional form from priests who, will preach about the four last things consistently. You can listen to Father Gregory Hess, canon lawyer, who can explain why the NO is invalid and illicit. I am well familiar with Canon Hess. Love his work. Father Ripker and Jesse Romero are okay with Divine Mercy. What about the new G.K. Chesterton series? What's the new G.K. Chesterton series, Rebecca? Are you talking about the new Father Brown? I would be worried about that because I actually have read some of the Father Brown mysteries, and they're not like what you see on the TV shows. Charlie Foxtrot, we have a very large statue of Jesus on a mountain here, and it was vandalized. The Bureau of Land Management and the other group has made it to this remote location. They're purposely going to the more remote places now, which is, I think, a strategic error on their part. Strategic because the kinds of people who live in those places are not the same kinds of people who live in the cities. Icarus Flu, I avoid... there's a limit to what I can watch when it comes to movies, and anything by Tarantino's pretty much on that list. There's a limit. Like, I'll sit here and say, yeah, I can watch old action movies, but Pulp Fiction is something different, and his movies are usually pretty gross. Hewling says 3010 to Yuma was a pretty serious movie. Saw prior to Reverse, so you can't speak to the morality. Right, that's my problem. Like, I had forgotten like some song I heard was getting reacted to by somebody, and I hadn't heard it since before I was a Catholic. That's how old it was, and then so I put on the reaction video, and I got grossed out by the lyrics. It's like, oh, I'd forgotten. Oh, he means snort. Oh, okay, Rebecca. Yeah. No, I'm just really congested. Pascal Leclerc, where does the concept of the rapture come from? 19th century England, made up by a bunch of Englishmen who couldn't sell it to the English, but they could sell it to the Americans. Thanks, guys. That's where it comes from, though. The rapture is unscriptural. You're not going to find it in the Bible. Have I seen the new Narcos documentary on Prime about Kiki Camarines? No. I have not seen that. I should check. Maybe I'll check that out. Johnny Dangerously is a 1984 American crime comedy film and a parody of 1930s crime gangster movies. It was directed by Amy Heckerling. It's 4 screenwriters, including Bernie Kukoff and Jeff Harris. Don't know who any of those people are, but if it's a comedy, like an 80s comedy, I'll consider it. Although a lot of those 80s comedies geared towards adults are, they've got their problem. Most modern comedies are pretty, like, impure. Like, I think there are very few comedies from that period whose target audience were not children, don't have like some serious problems. Like, the only one I can think of is like The Three Amigos, if you've seen that movie. And I'm sure somebody could tell me like some serious moral problem with that movie that I'm just not remembering. The original Magnificent Seven is better. It's usually the case with remakes. The original's usually better. Martin Truther wonders if the Bureau of Land Management will remove the Rocky thing in Philly. They might consider I doubt it. I mean, well, maybe. I mean, people have asked that question before. Let's see. The Outlaw Josie Wales is definitely worth a watch. Yeah, I suspect my wife and I will probably do a Western kick. She started watching John Wayne movies. She's had a box set of John Wayne movies for a while. I hadn't watched them. She started watching them recently. Let's see. Escape Plan came out in 2013. It's a pretty creative movie. Yeah, isn't there an Escape Plan 2 out too, or in the works? Let's see. How many blues are there? Let's see. The Yuma remake is good, says Tom. Mrs. Maiden says she likes westerns, mostly clear moral to the story. Men on horses with implements, no fornication. Yep, that's one reason. Although, then again, HBO did make that show Deadwood, which had literally all the things that you just listed. So, and Deadwood, as a story and as the acting and as the screenwriting, all of it is great. The presentation is horrific, though. Like, you just sit there feeling like you had to go confession after you watch an episode. Have I heard of Adam Bly? He's an exorcism expert. No, I tend to, for my exorcisms experts, I go with Father Ripperger or Father Amorth or Malachi Martin. They tend to be, pretty on the spot. Healing New Father Brown is rubbish. He sounds for Moloch worshippers and even literal pagans. I had to approve your comment, CF, by the way. Let's see. Lots of discussion in the comment about the Saint Faustina's Diary. Healing likes the new True Grit. Some underlying moral issues with that one, though. I've never seen True Grit, so I don't have a lot of experience with westerns. Like, literally, the only western I remember liked watching was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Tom K. Deadwood is unwatchable melodrama. I remember liking it, but especially was tickled by the fact that I thought Swearingen was the bad guy until he discovered he wasn't. And then I realized I was watching a show where literally the only good guy in the entire show was probably the sidekick to the guy from Montana. The guy who'd become the sheriff. And there's some interesting propaganda there if you know that show well enough. Escape Plan 2 is out. Okay, that's what I thought, cheap guy. Let's see. Have I watched A Hidden Life? I have not. Did I have big difficulties transitioning to traditional lifestyle with my family? No. When my wife and I were like, courting, I guess. I mean, you can call it dating if you want. Before we could actually formally enter a relationship, I had to like meet her folks and basically get the okay from them. I had to like get the okay from her dad to, marry her, and she wouldn't let me kiss her until she was, we were engaged. So, and she told me flat out she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So no, that stuff wasn't hard. It's just been an interesting cross to carry because of, I'm having the best success of my life doing this and I'm qualified to do some good jobs I couldn't even get interviews for because that's just the way the system is now. Both True Grit and The Man Who Shot Liberty Vance. Yeah, I've never seen those either. Is trick-or-treating a sin because it's paganism? Nope. You should go look at the Christian roots of Halloween. That having been said, my son is never going to wear a demonic Halloween costume. Like his first Halloween, he was 2 months old. He was 2 weeks old, and we dressed him up as Saint Benedict and took him to the local Benedictine monastery. And the abbot got a picture with my at the time 2-week-old son dressed in a homemade infant-sized Benedictine habit, complete with an abbot's crucifix. It was great. Last year, what did he do last year? My wife would remember. I don't. I remember on Halloween we walked around town. That was because there's like a sort of a street festival that goes on in town around that time, and he had a shark costume on. My wife's talking about his Halloween costume this year. I'd have to break the news to her. There's probably not going to be much of that going on this year. Tom K. Westworld is a pretty scary view of where our world is headed. If you're talking about the HBO show, I will not watch it because that show is Game of Thrones notorious. If you're talking about the 70s movie, the 70s movie is a wonderful B movie. I saw it once. That was enough, though. Have I seen the 1963 film The Cardinal? Nope. That is some rare gift. I don't know what you mean. You mean my wife? Well, yeah. I mean, I knew she was one pretty quickly. What's one of my favorite movie of all time? I don't really have a favorite movie of all time. Like Pascal, I'm an old school Star Wars guy. I used to have almost a disordered attachment like a lot of nerdy types do. And Disney took care of that for me, though. Disney more than took care of that for me. But I've been kind of getting this desire to sort of like go back and watch the originals and even the prequels again. But I don't know. Toompi Floyd has joined the chat. Prey153, yes, I'm aware of what you said in the chat there, but I can't say that message. Paul's Wrath saw separate people wearing purple scapulars today at Mass. That's interesting. Blue Days, HBO is all smut. It's not all that, but it's pretty close. It's funny how America has bigger cult of death on Halloween than Mexico, where cult of death is literal. It's not even a cult like that anymore. Extra, it's the big costumes these days are superhero costumes, and you'll see a lot of adults wearing them, and then immodest, impure ones. That's usually the stuff you see the adults doing, and kids will wear like their superhero stuff. And princesses. Like a few years ago, I lived in a place where I thought would be great for trick-or-treating. This was before I had a kid, so I had a bowl of candy for the kids. 3 kids came to the door, which was kind of sad. And they were all dressed in like superhero stuff. But it wasn't sad for the kids, though. They got like Cadbury cream eggs for me. Their parents were shocked. But I love to give those out on Halloween because I remember when I was a kid getting Cadbury cream eggs on Halloween. It made my week. I was so happy. Okay, Son of Crits, that's what I thought, that I have a traditional family. As traditional as we can be in this modern world, right? Like, I mean, I live in a town, too, so. From the chat for Star Wars. Yeah, I like I said, I like the originals and the prequels, and I'm mad, and Disney broke my disorder, made my any attachment I had to that series more right ordered. Like, I appreciate them and I enjoy them, but they're just movies at this point. Yeah, Pascal, the prequels seem pretty amazing now, don't they? Compared to the stuff Disney put out. The stuff Disney put out is so bad, they're now talking about getting rid of it. That's how bad it is. Go Blue wore Devil Mask on Halloween last year. You regret it? Yeah. You know what? Like, dress as some of the saints. Man, there are some, like, pretty based saints out there that you could make a cool costume out of. Go look at my Forgotten Saint video on St. Moses the Black. You could, go get a monastic-looking robe, like a desert monk robe, put some boxing gloves on, ham it up a little bit. Maybe get a black eye, Did I ever get into Battlestar Galactica? My wife watched the original. I have no desire to watch the remake. They made it like early woke, and I'm not really interested in that. Yeah, Blue Days. They were talking about Marie Julie Jahenny's purple scapular. I've done videos on it before. Prey 153. Vigano was not proclaimed pope. A group of schismatics declared him pope, and they didn't have the authority to do that. I really wish people wouldn't get this idea in their head. A group of people without the authority said Vigano was now pope. Vigano has not accepted it. He's not pope. Peter Jerusalem. Yeah, you see, what I've heard about the thing. My only thing is, like, I never liked the Clone Wars cartoon because I couldn't get past the first few episodes where that Ahsoka character was just so grating that I just turned it off. Which is sad because I've heard she's actually now one of the best characters in that whole franchise. But, Critical Drinker 2.0. Nope. I do watch his content, though. Critical Drinker is great, as long as you can handle some crudity. Do I keep up with Poland any? I get emails from people, messages from people about what's going on in Poland sometimes. Jesse Romero is training constantly for helping out before, during, and after exorcisms to free up time for the authorized exorcist. He works with Father Ripper. People are going to his workshops. That's good, although I hope that everybody involved gets the proper permissions from the people they need to get the permissions from to do that stuff, because that's very, very sensitive work that they're talking about. Tom, that's that Narcos docuseries. Okay. Did I ever watch Mork and Mindy? My wife, I think, likes Mork and Mindy. I think I watched one episode and that was it. I've seen Hell on Wheels about the building of the Transcontinental Railroad. I have not. It might be something interesting to check out, too. 2P Floyd says he makes plate armor and stuff like that, so I just slap on some of that to take your wee brother's trick-or-treating. See, there you go. Look, you're now, all you have to do is, add the proper tabard and such, and all of a sudden you can be St. George going to find the dragon. Which, with your luck, you'll find some kid, some probably like 6-year-old trick-or-treating dressed as a dragon. Paul's Wrath. What's my Twitter? My Twitter is at PontificatorMax, and the @ has a story itself. But years ago, back during the early part of the previous presidential election in the United States, I decided I wanted to check out what that side of Twitter looked like, just to see if it was as entertaining as I thought. So I made a Catholic account that was supposed to be much more pro that person than I actually am. I'm not anti him, but I'm not like, I'm never going to unironically call him the God Emperor or whatever. But and it was an anonymous account, and for the longest time, my handle was Pontificator Maximus, which means basically, the greatest opinions, right? And I built up my account pretty quickly over doing that, and but I changed the @ is still at Pontificator Max for anybody who cares. There's a link, or you can find my @ in the description box of my videos. You just copy and paste it and find me on Twitter. Jesse goes to exorcisms, pray for them. Yeah, he does. Paul's Wrath found me. Very good. I've seen. I've watched some of his interviews, and he's another one that I'd probably go on camera to have conversations with. He seems he's a good guy. He seems to have full on the presidential thing. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that makes me nervous is that a lot of the other commentators have gone full on for that stuff, and it's like, be careful, be very careful. I expect one more political culling is going to happen here. 2P Floyd says, if I ever need anything forged or clad in mail, let him know. I will. I hope I'm not trained with that stuff, though. Tom K. Some of this stuff, Jesse Romero says, is weird, like the kid who, appeared to his parents burning and asked for Gregorian masses to be said for him. I remember that story. And, then again, it's not outside the realm of possibility, though. There are plenty of stories like that that in the faith. So don't completely discount it. You know, there's a big trad Catholic discount. Well, if you've got a website, if you ever start a website for taking commissions for Lloyd, like an Etsy or something like that, let me know. I'll give you a free plug. Did the Pope say that the subject of Laudato Si is a big issue? Because if so, you disagree? Yeah, he did. He's written 2 encyclicals on it, Laudato Si and Kyrie Amazonia. Do I have some nice family tradition with your wife? For example, always making pancakes together on Sunday, things like that. Common hobbies? Not really, not yet. I mean, we've only been married 3 years. We haven't started any of that stuff yet. I would love to have like a meal tradition, but my dietary needs are so crazy that that sort of makes that hard. Blue Collar Catholic's another good YouTube channel. I've heard of it. I'm pretty sure that one's a new one. At Holy Cross Church in Warsaw this past week, they put up their flag and sprayed vulgarities on the statue. How sad. That is sad. These people are... I'm convinced the demonic is active in this. Okay, good. Good. When you get your Etsy up, let me know. But I think with that, I'm gonna call it here because I do have some other things I need to do today. So anyway, thanks y'all for participating in a lively chat. It was what I was hoping for. So anyway, you all have a blessed Sunday, and remember to keep the rest of it. Try to keep the rest of your day holy. All right. Oh, when can we, Dr. Anthony? Preferably never. I'm not wild about this PhD thing. Anyway, y'all have a nice afternoon.